Hey guys, Ryan here, and today I'm going to go through with you my 2019 MX5 NASA ST5 race car build. So we get started. It's a 2019 Mazda MX5 ND2 chassis that I bought new a couple years ago for the purpose of building a NASA ST5 race car. I've had the car all the way through HPDE, and last year I got my comp license and competed in 4 class races, and the car was highly competitive. The driver could use a little bit of work, but the car was perfect. So let's get started and find out what's going on with the powertrain, and then we'll move on to suspension, interior, and a couple little things that I've done and quirks that just make it nice and comfortable for me, and I found have worked over the last year or two. Alright guys, so under the hood is a Mazda factory inline 4-cylinder 2-liter naturally aspirated, factory rated at 181 horsepower, 151 torque. The only thing that I've done in here is a lightweight battery, just a Walmart $40 battery. It seems to do the job for me. Virus air oil separator, which I empty once a season and have never found a drop of anything in it. And then I've got a custom JDL 4-2-to-1 exhaust manifold with a single resonator mid pipe and a single resonator axle back, which I will show you once we get the car in the air. It also has an AEM dry flow air filter, and then I have gone through and deleted the AC compressor and the belt tensioner, and I am running a straight 29-inch belt to the alternator. As well, over here I'm running the ST5 variable brake booster, which I'm just using to tune out ABS for the different tires that I run. So with R7s I'll crank it up a little bit more, and then when I go to a 200 treadwear tire I will crank it back a little more just so I can keep the car out of ABS during threshold braking. And then I've just got a Goodwin Racing Sport cross member. I replaced the factory one. This one gave me a little bit more room as well as adjustability to actually reach the top mounts on my coilovers. So with the AC compressor delete, I've also deleted the lines and I've deleted the condenser up front. So now I've got the car up in the air. You can see I have got an oil cooler up front as well as an aftermarket radiator. No real purpose for the radiator other than I was in an incident and cracked my factory one and figured I would just go with an aluminum radiator to replace it. I do have the Virus brake cooling ducts in the front bumper, which are routed with the coolant ducting going into a backing plate on the rotor. I've got full MCS 2-way non-remote coilovers running 750-pound springs in the front and 325-pound springs in the rear. I've got the Carceps 0.12 diameter sway bar in the front with the subframe reinforcements, which are a requirement on this chassis. You are known to break sway bar brackets on the subframe. Continue along. I've got a brand new Mazda gearbox with the upgraded case studs. I did have a front main seal or front output shaft seal leak on my old transmission. So I went with a new transmission and then I repaired that one, and I am keeping it for a spare. Just more of the JDL exhaust, which goes back to the single resonator. In the rear of the car, I'm running an OS Geiken 1.5 LSD with the high capacity diff cover. I'm also running the Carceps 0.095 rear sway bar. And then there's the MCS 2-way non-remotes rear coilovers as well. So also in the rear, per ST5 rules, I've cut a little bit of the rear bumper here to kind of help with ballooning, as well as I have removed the rear reverse lights. Gutted the bumper as much as I could, took out rear camera, lights, they had parking sensors, took like 8 pounds worth of stuff out of the inside. So coming up to the front, I went with the STR42 brake kit with the 11.8-inch front rotor. The rotor is PFC. For the friction ring, V8 Roadster mounting hats, V8 Roadster sells the entire kit. That allows me to go to a 15-inch by 9-inch wide wheel. So it allows for smaller wheels, lighter wheels, overall lower cost of consumables, as well as I saved about 8 pounds a corner of rotational mass. Additionally, it also helps a lot with increased mechanical torque, smaller diameter tire, and so on and so on. Nothing too special here in the trunk, just the Mazda Motorsports bulkhead, which bolts in, as well as the Mazda Motorsports fuel connectors, the stainless steel line, as well as the clear tube. I have calibrated my fuel tank that when fuel is in the clear tube, I have 15 gallons of usable fuel in the car, which will give you about 2.5 hours endurance in the car. Over here, I've just got my Sentinel mounted. This is what I'm going to be using this season for live streaming my races. Just got finished up installing it, so I'm very excited to see how that works. As far as the exterior of the car, I had the car wrapped purple after an incident last year where I had body contact. I figured going the route of a wrap in the long run will be a lot cheaper than chasing painted panels. And so far it's been a mixed bag of a little bit cheaper, but a little bit more work. So it's worked out decently, I guess. I'm running the Virus efficiency wing on the rear of the car. It's set right now to about 6 degrees angle of attack. I've found that the car really does not need an aggressive rear spoiler, but I get it for free because I'm running the DG hardtop. And in NASA, when you run a hardtop on the ND car, you are not allowed to take BTM aero. So the wing is free because I run the hardtop. I will be testing the car this year without the top, without the rear wing, and I'll be able to add an extra 8 horsepower to it. So I'm very curious to see how it'll work for some tracks and how it won't work for others. So a little bit on the inside of the car. I've got the rear here basically just set up for some driver comfort things. I've got a Long Acre water bottle that I use for endurance races. I do a couple per year, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Then I've also got a helmet blower. I believe it's rated at 150 CFM, as well as the Chill Out V3 cooler system for a shirt, which definitely helps a ton. On the other side of the car, I've got a full fire suppression system, a 2-handle manual pull with 4 nozzles. 2 nozzles for the driver, 1 nozzle for the engine bay, and 1 nozzle in the fuel bulkhead. So inside the car here, I'm running an AMP HTER 400 XL seat, which I found to be exceptionally comfortable, especially for big guys like myself. I've done 4 hours pretty much straight in this car, and it's been incredibly comfortable. Running the MPI Mazda steering wheel with the quick release. Get that out of the way. Running the full aim dash on the car. It's got all my sensors: water pressure, oil temp, oil pressure, trans temp, diff temp, as well as the trail brake TPMS module, which connects to all the tires, as well as an infrared sensor on the bottom of the car to give me the track temperature. For other data systems, I'm running an Apex Pro Gen 2, and I'm also running a Garmin Catalyst. I take them in and out of the car depending on what I'm doing, if I'm just practicing warming up or racing. I specifically like the Garmin Catalyst if it's a new track and I really want to get up to speed really quickly. The The Apex Pro I use pretty much every day at the track all the time. I love the interface. I love the overlays. It's great for looking at sessions immediately and just giving yourself all the information that you need. The AIM I use primarily just as a functioning dash. Gives me my shift lights, gives me all my alarms, works a lot of sensors. But I'll also go back and use it like if I was at a track a couple months ago and I'm coming back now, comparing best, what was I doing then, what was I doing now. It really helps like different day or long periods in between looking at data. It's a lot more user friendly there, but the software itself is a little difficult to work with. You really need a lot. Then up here, I've got a checklist for myself that I go through. I'm super OCD about checklists. Coming from aviation, it's just kind of how I function and how I make sure I don't miss anything. And then over here, I've got something. I went with a dash cam with a rear view camera for my rear view mirror, and I have been loving it. I originally just had a standard rear view mirror, and once I put the rear spoiler on with the hardtop window, visibility was terrible. So I went with one of these, 140 bucks on Amazon, and it has been beautiful for me. Down here, I've just got a controller for the chill out system so I can turn it on and off from up here inside the car and control temperatures. Here I've got a CAE shifter, which I love because everything is mechanically locked. You can't overshift, you can't push gears. Everything locks and just stays where it's at. I've got helmet blower switch, as well as an AIM data port mounted into the center here. Over there you will see that's part of the Sentinel system for the camera, and then I'm running the other Sentinel camera, as well as I've still got an AIM Smarty Cam back there, only because I'm testing the Sentinel, and I'm hoping that once the Sentinel works and I get more comfortable with it, I'm just going to remove the Smarty Cam altogether and save a little bit more weight. Down here by my feet, I'm running Racecom radios. Just the basic digital kit with something that can come in and out of the car very easily, batteries, as well as my transponder key is down here, as well as an emergency knife if something ever happens and I have to cut my belts. Then there is the engine kill switch, which we did a little bit differently with this car, is we routed it through the negative terminals, so it kills the negative connection, so I didn't have to worry about running large gauge positive wires through the firewall, as well as one of my fire pull handles. So that pretty much wraps it up. Like I said, 2019 Mazda MX5 ND2. I've got all my off-season prep done. I am headed to the dyno next week, and I'm going to work on an E85 tune for the car, as well as with the new tire rules for NASA this year. I'm going to work on getting different available tunes for the car so I can test out Toyo RRs on top of the Hoosier R7s that I normally run. So in current configuration right now, the car is about 2,470 pounds with 4 gallons of fuel and with me in it. I've got it detuned right now to 160 average horsepower, 166 peak. So, and that seems to work pretty well for NASA ST5. Car currently has the track record at Mid-Ohio Pro Course last year. It is a 137.78, I believe. Okay, so that's everything on the car. Hope you liked it. This is just the way that I do it. Clearly with a class that's a built class, you can pretty much do whatever you want, take whatever points that you want. This is just kind of what I found that worked for me along the progression to HPDE to wheel-to-wheel racing last year. Anything that you want me to go over in more detail, want to look at, please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, as well as any other videos that you want to see in the future. After I come back to the dyno, I do have to do a corner balance and alignment, so I do plan on going through tutorial videos on how I do that and get the car set up for myself. And then I'm pretty much ready for the season. First race is going to be at NCM in the end of March, so follow along.